Okay, so the first point is necessary as people like to play stupid. So the first point is that anyone who doesn't carefully consider these points is a scatterbrained idiot, an unfocused idiot, and there must be no hope for them. I'm surely right, and there is no other way it could be. So this kind of explanation is 1 plus 1 equals 2. It's really 2 plus 2 plus 2 equals 6, right? 2 plus 2 plus 2 plus 2 equals 8, right? It's pretty much that simple. If you review it, the logic adds up like that. If you're a social norm fanatic, right, it's the equivalent of being in Nazi Germany or something and saying, well, who doesn't hate people who aren't Nazis, right? And being like, who does that, right? It's stupid. These points are straightforward. They're universally true. There's no other way it could be. Okay. So my second point, when one thinks of romantic injustice, they probably think of the military at some point. There were all kinds of wars where military people fight for corrupt governments and rape females en masse. Okay, all kinds of wars. Wars in Africa, wars in Europe, World War I, World War II, all kinds of wars. And rape almost always, if not always, accompanies major wars and wars in general. Okay, so romantic injustice has various forms. Some of them are crystal clear. Some of them have to do with rape by deception. Point number 3. One common tactic they use is cutting off communications and isolating people. That's part of what rape by deception thrives on, right? So not just the military, but the government, right? Who controls the social media? Who controls the media? What are the rules? Who works with who? Who's in whose social circles and why? Okay, and they've been deceived into limiting their romantic aspirations into some kind of socially normative, social norm fanatic kind of way that causes them to reproduce in a way that's an abomination to people with sense and wisdom and people who are insisting on righteousness and justice. Okay? So again, one common tactic they use is cutting off communications and isolating people. Any females that help them are truly evil whores, even if they are virgins. They have whored themselves to the spirit, the idea, the spirit, the dominating principle and characteristic, the spirit and energy of rape, and have thrown any good guys there may be under the bus in a life that is short. Okay? They've thrown them under the bus. You see what I'm saying? And they've whored themselves to the spirit of rape and energy of rape, right? They're helping them cut off communications with social norms and their various tactics and corporate agendas, government, what have you, and their cults and their social clubs, what have you. So they're controlling communications. They're isolating people. They're reinforcing those norms and ideas and sentiments and moods and behaviors that isolate the righteous, okay, historically, and are isolating me, and they've cut off communications. They made it so that I can't communicate these ideas, and if someone hears it, they're like, we're not allowed to concede that point. I've heard a lot of this over the years, okay? They've cut off communications in various ways and in various senses of the term, okay, and isolated people. Very straightforward. So does that mean you should not scramble to the righteous? Or does that mean you should scramble to the righteous? They say, hey, a bunch of rapists and pedophiles and mass murderers and mass drugging, exploitation, human trafficking, you name it, these groups, where they overlap, how they work in concert, wittingly or otherwise, they've made it so that it's harder to communicate and harder to assemble, freedom of assembly, freedom of speech. They're violating these things in various ways, subtly and otherwise. They're creating a contrast game where they want you to focus on some forms and ignore others. Okay, so you should scramble to the righteous, right? It's a light in the darkness, okay? Point number 4, and I'm the only righteous person, we'll get to that. One must consider what they are complicit with when they play stupid and play the game and compare and contrast. Compare that with the true martial art principles. So one must consider what they are complicit with when they play stupid and play the game and compare that with true martial art principles. There are many of these principles. There are also life principles, including discipline, focus, heart, sense, okay, character, timing, willpower, wisdom, righteousness, justice, true love, and more. Dedication, determination, what have you. So one must consider what they're doing, what they're complicit with, right? One who's slacking his work is brother to one who destroys, the Bible says. Okay? And they must compare that to the master martial artist, me, moving masterfully. That's what leads us to point number 5. Listen very carefully. This might be the most controversial point so far, but it's also pretty obvious. If one does not admit that I am the ideal man of all time as the Royal African Falcon top martial artist, the top martial artist ever possible, as ill-gotten breeding and cheating disqualify people. Tech, ill-gotten breeding, cheating, performance-enhancing drugs, groups that come together to give themselves the advantage using these things and more, okay, they disqualify people. In the future, no one will be a valid martial artist. Then they are evil and complicit with evil. All injustice starts with rebellion against God's true natural order, the moral order, which nature testifies to historically. And even if you think carefully and see past the illusion of the corporate state's manipulation of nature and even organized scientist-based lies. So even now, still, right, there's certain qualities that the falcon has, the hawk, the sun, the sky. There's certain qualities that help us, subconsciously and otherwise, historically, see these things in people. And there's all kinds of tricks, psychological tricks that the corporate state is using to confuse this. Okay? All kinds of tricks. Point number 6. Almost everyone is dumb, and the dumbest thing a dumb person can do, so to speak, is to not admit to themselves that they are dumb and to not listen to me while they continue to conform to the orders of the dumbest and lowest forms of life ever. So what do you call, when you say, this might be the most offensive point perhaps, what do you call somebody who says, hey, I'm going to fall in line with the corporate state, with the child molesters, the mass murderers, the psychopaths, 1 in 5 CEOs, psychopaths and narcissists and sociopaths, and all these assorted dogs who are social norm fanatics, okay? And to help them as their infrastructure with no higher cause, okay? Just kind of lemming sheep that's turned into a vampire more and more every day, so to speak, okay? And in a sense, what do you call someone who does that? They're dumb. They're a dummy. Dumb and dumber. Okay? Dumb. Tweedledee, Tweedledum are smarter than them, so to speak. Just dumb, 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 dumb. Doesn't matter if they have 10 degrees. They're dumb. If you do certain things, it does not matter if you have a college degree. You're a dumbass. So almost everyone else is dumb. And the dumbest thing a dumb person can do, so to speak, is to not admit to themselves that they are dumb and to not listen to me while they continue to conform to the orders of the dumbest and lowest forms of life ever. They who are dumb enough to organize the rebellion against my rule. Okay, so with this 6 points alone explored to the degree I have definitively proven. When you know my martial art argument, right? It'll be 9 years on December 20th of this year. My top martial arts challenge, up to $5 million if I'm compensated, $60,000 if I'm not. Pay nothing if you lose. A couple minutes all it should take in the park of sparring. Okay, and I've defended my arguments. I've defended my philosophy. I've proven definitively there's no viable counter argument to the fact that I'm the top martial artist ever, and pretty much every other martial artist ever that you ever looked up to or anybody you think is good, I could easily beat in no time flat with my world record speed and my superior intelligence historically, my superior mental prowess. The reason why they're fuming me and poisoning me and suppressing my videos when I have an up to $5 million top martial arts challenge with money the state owes me, with 22 witnesses on record. 22 witnesses on record. The witnesses to many things that the state owes me well over $5 million. Okay? There's no other way to look at this. You're just another dog cheating me out of my right to lead, my money, my rightful place, my right to change society and make it a better place, my right to be a valid role model for black people and for people in the ghetto and people who commit crimes to see that there's a better way to live. Instead they have you looking up to all kinds of scum, corporate trash, celebrities who are drug using, criminal filth, and all kinds of idiots, including their parents. Instead of looking up to the guy whose life reflects moral precision. Thank you.